You ever have a moment where the air between you is so electric, words just feel heavier, like one sentence, just one, could flip the entire mood, turn him on without even touching him? Most people think seduction is all physical, but the truth is, it's what you say in those moments that leaves the deepest mark. Let me show you 3 sentences that don't just heat things up. They make him obsessed with the way you make him feel. I can't stop thinking about the way you touch me. There's a moment, right before you say something intimate, where everything slows down. The room may be dimly lit, your bodies are already close, your heart is beating just a bit faster, and that space between physical contact and emotional electricity becomes razor thin. It's in this moment, when he's looking at you fully present, that the words, "I can't stop thinking about the way you touch me," can completely shift the atmosphere. Not just sexually, but emotionally, because what you're doing is not just stating a physical truth, you're creating a fantasy for him that he's the star of. And more importantly, you're saying it in a way that speaks directly to his identity as a man. Men, like women, want to feel desired, but more than that, they want to feel effective. They want to know that what they're doing is working. And not just in a technical way, they want to know they're having an effect on you, that they've made a mark, that the echo of their touch lives on in your mind long after the moment has passed. When you say, "I can't stop thinking about the way you touch me," you're telling him that he's unforgettable, not just in action, but in impact, and that's powerful. This sentence works on multiple levels. First, it creates a sense of replay, that what happened between you wasn't just a one-time moment. You've replayed it, you've felt it again, and in doing that, you've turned a moment of passion into something more permanent, more meaningful. That makes a man feel important. It tells him he's not just good in bed, he's memorable. That's a whole different level of validation. Second, this sentence gives him control and ignites his confidence. When a man knows that his touch is still in your head, it gives him a deep sense of masculine pride. It feeds the part of him that wants to be the one who drives you wild. Not in a shallow performative way, but in a way that says, "You could have anyone, but I make you feel this way." That's one of the most erotic thoughts a man can hold on to. It makes him feel chosen, not just accepted. And when a man feels chosen, his desire to give, to please, and to connect grows exponentially. But here's what really sets this sentence apart: the timing and the tone. It's not something you say while distracted or casually. It's something you whisper in his ear or murmur as your fingertips graze his skin. It's something that lingers, not just in the moment, but in the way you say it, with breath, with eye contact, with just a hint of vulnerability. That vulnerability is key, because when you show that you're willing to admit that his touch stays with you, you invite him into your private thoughts. You open a door that most people keep locked. And in doing that, you deepen the intimacy between you. Psychologically, this sentence plays into the power of anticipation. Even if you're currently in bed with him, you're telling him that your body remembers what he did before, and that you've been craving it ever since. That lights a fire. It tells him that his presence lingers, that his touch haunts you in the best possible way. And that makes him want to touch you again, not just out of desire, but out of purpose. It also gives him the sense that what's happening between you isn't routine. It's not just sex. It's not just physical release. It's an experience that imprints itself on your body and your mind. Men rarely hear this kind of emotional feedback during intimacy. Most of what they experience is silent approval or quiet pleasure. But to hear words that confirm their impact, especially words that show mental replay. That's rare, and it's unforgettable. This sentence is also brilliant because it's not graphic. It doesn't spell everything out. It doesn't need to. It's classy. It leaves room for imagination. That's what makes it so effective. You're not describing what he did in detail. You're focusing on the effect it had. That makes it even more erotic, because now in his mind he's wondering, what exactly did I do? When? He starts to replay it too. And the best part? He starts trying to outdo that memory, to make his next touch even more unforgettable than the last. On a deeper emotional level, this sentence affirms something most men quietly long for. Reassurance that they're not just being used for their body, but that they're desired for who they are and how they make you feel. It bridges the gap between the physical and the emotional. It says, you don't just make me feel good, you make me feel wanted. That hits differently. It awakens something primal and protective in a man, something that makes him want to claim you, protect you, and satisfy you in ways no one else can. Let's not overlook the vulnerability you display when you say this either. To admit that you've been thinking about someone's touch when they're not around takes courage. It shows emotional honesty. It breaks down the walls of ego and pride, and that authenticity creates a safer space for him to express himself too. You're not just arousing him, you're inviting him to be more emotionally available, more present, more real, and ironically, that emotional openness is what leads to better, deeper, more passionate intimacy. Ultimately, this sentence works because it combines fantasy with truth. It's not exaggerated, it's not performance, it's a deeply honest statement of desire, and that's what turns people on more than anything else. Truthful desire. When you speak from that place, when your tone, your timing, your gaze, and your words all align, you unlock a version of him that's more confident, more open, and more driven to please you in every way. And all of that just from a few carefully chosen words. And that's what makes "I can't stop thinking about the way you touch me" such a powerful, seductive sentence. It's not about technique, it's about connection. It doesn't scream for attention, it invites him in. It doesn't just turn him on physically, it awakens the part of him that wants to matter to you. And that, more than anything, is what makes the experience unforgettable for both of you. No one has ever made me feel the way you do. These words land with the force of a lightning bolt. Not because they're poetic or overly clever, but because they speak directly to the deepest emotional craving most men carry but rarely express. When a man is in bed with you, especially one who genuinely cares, he's not just hoping you're physically satisfied. He's wondering, silently, maybe even subconsciously, if he stands out to you. If this is just another moment or something unforgettable. Saying "no one has ever made me feel the way you do" answers that question in a way that removes every doubt. It lifts him, it energizes him, it makes him feel like he is the only one who truly knows how to touch your body, your emotions, your soul. The reason this sentence has so much power is because it doesn't just stroke his ego, it speaks to his impact. It suggests that all the effort he's putting in, whether emotionally or physically, is not only being received, it's being cherished, it's being etched into your memory. And in a world where comparison is everywhere, social media, past relationships, insecurities that quietly creep in, the idea that he alone makes you feel this way is magnificent. It tells him he's winning a race he didn't even know he was running. But this sentence doesn't just make him feel better than your ex or better than others. It goes far beyond competition. It's about uniqueness. It's about connection. It's about the fact that there's something about him, his way of kissing, his pace, his voice, his energy, his presence, that unlocks something in you that no one else has. That's a powerful thing to hear in bed, because it means he isn't just satisfying you, he's transforming you. You're not just with him, you're different because of him. And when a man feels like he's responsible for that kind of impact, it activates a fierce, focused, turned on version of himself that wants to go even deeper with you, emotionally, mentally, and physically. This sentence also triggers emotional safety. In the most intimate moments, a man often wonders if he's being compared to someone else, past lovers, imaginary expectations, things you've seen or talked about. That fear may never be spoken aloud, but it lives beneath the surface. And when you look him in the eye and say, "No one has ever made me feel the way you do," you erase that fear. You bring him into the present. You tell him, "I'm not thinking about anyone else. I'm here with you. And this right here is better than anything I've known before." That's like a psychological release for him. And in that freedom, he becomes even more connected, more passionate, more attentive, not because you manipulated him, but because you saw him, chose him, and celebrated him. And let's talk about the word feel, because that's where the emotional depth hides. You're not saying, "No one has ever done this to me," or "No one has ever moved like you," or "No one has ever looked this good." You're saying feel. That can mean physically, emotionally, mentally, or all of it at once. And that ambiguity is beautiful. It allows him to fill in the blanks with his imagination, with his memories of the moment, with the way your body responded to his, with the sounds you made, the way you held him, the way your breath changed when he touched you a certain way. That word, feel, wraps the entire experience in significance. In a way, you're handing him a trophy, not a cheap reward, but something rare and honest and sacred. You're telling him he's doing something that's never been done before. And more than that, you're telling him that you feel something inside that you've never felt before. Men crave this kind of impact more than they admit. The desire to be memorable, to matter, to have changed the way someone views intimacy. It's primal, and this sentence delivers exactly that. Now imagine the timing. You're in the middle of this intimate space, skin on skin, breath mingled. The world outside the room has faded, and then you lean in, maybe barely whisper it. "No one has ever made me feel the way you do." His body hears it, but so does his heart. It makes him want to keep going, not just for release, but for connection. Because now it's not just about arousal, it's about legacy, about creating a moment with you that will never be forgotten. The beauty of this sentence is also in its softness. You don't have to scream it. You don't have to moan it. It doesn't have to be part of some over-the-top dirty talk session. It can be quiet, intimate, close, maybe even said afterward, when his arm is around you and you're both catching your breath. Or maybe it slips out mid-moment, when your head tilts back and you can barely control what you're feeling. Either way, it becomes a gift, a verbal confirmation that says, "This is different, this is real, this is special." This sentence also does something incredible. It makes you more vulnerable, and that paradoxically makes him feel stronger. You're not just complimenting his body or his skills. You're revealing something personal. You're showing that he's had an effect on you you weren't expecting, that he's created a new experience inside you. That's more than sexy. That's sacred. Even long after that night is over, he'll remember those words. He'll remember the way you looked at him when you said it. He'll wonder what exactly it was that made you feel that way. And every time he remembers, it will make him want to recreate that magic again and again. He'll see himself differently. He'll see you differently. And the next time you're together, there will be a new energy, one rooted in that truth, that he made you feel something no one else ever has. So when you say, no one has ever made me feel the way you do, you're doing so much more than arousing him. You're validating him. You're connecting with him. You're giving him the kind of emotional fuel that will carry into every touch, every kiss, every whispered word that follows. It's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's real. And that reality is what makes it unforgettable. I want you so badly. I can't even think straight. This sentence isn't just sexy, it's explosive. It breaks through the polite layers most people wear, even in the most intimate settings. It's raw, it's unfiltered, it's pure desire without the safety net of control. When you say, I want you so badly I can't even think straight, you're not just telling him he's attractive. You're letting him know that your desire for him is consuming, so intense it overrides your logic, your filters, your ability to keep composure. That kind of desire turns a man on in a way that goes far beyond the physical. It taps into his deepest masculine energy and awakens something primal. The need to be wanted, fully and wildly. There's a hidden genius to this sentence. Because it's not about what he's doing to you in that moment, it's about what you feel in response to him. It makes you the one who's losing control, and that is incredibly arousing to a man. Why? Because for many men, they're used to being the one who's expected to chase, to perform, to take charge. But when you suddenly flip that script and say something like this, he realizes, you're the one who's overwhelmed now. You're the one who can't focus. You're the one whose mind is spinning from desire. And that moment gives him a sense of power, not in a dominating way, but in a deeply affirming way. It tells him, you affect me this much. When you say, I want you so badly, I can't even think straight, it strips away any games or pretense. It's not about acting cool, detached, or mysterious. It's you, fully open in your want for him. That openness makes a man feel irresistible, and more importantly, it makes the entire experience feel real. He's not guessing anymore. He's not decoding mixed signals. You're telling him, with every breath and every word, that this isn't just pleasure, it's need. Need is a powerful concept when it comes to intimacy. Lust alone can be temporary, surface level, even performative, but when you frame your desire as something you can't control, something that's messing with your mind, it crosses into obsession. And obsession is one of the most magnetic feelings a man can sense from a woman in the right moment. He doesn't just feel wanted, he feels craved. And when a man feels that, it gives him permission to unleash his full intensity too, without holding back. This sentence also creates a powerful image in his mind. He starts imagining you struggling to concentrate earlier in the day. Maybe you were at work, at dinner, lying in bed alone, and all you could think about was him. About his hands, his mouth, the sound of his voice, the way he smells, the way he moves. That idea of you being unable to escape the pull of your desire for him is intensely arousing. It makes him feel like a drug, like something you're addicted to. And that makes him want to become even more addictive. There's also something important to understand about how you say this sentence. Tone and timing matter. Whisper it in his ear, your voice a little shaky. Say it with your body already pressed up against his, when the moment is already charged and your breath is short. Or murmur it while looking him dead in the eye, your fingers tracing down his chest, lips barely apart. What you're doing is showing, not just telling, that your desire is taking over your senses. That kind of honesty, when paired with physical closeness, creates one of the most memorable, intimate experiences he'll ever have. Think about the psychology for a moment. Most men carry silent doubts. Am I enough? Is she really into this? Does she want me, or is she just going along with it? These thoughts can live in the background, even during sex, but the moment you say, I want you so badly I can't even think straight, all those doubts vanish. In their place comes certainty, validation, and confidence. And when a man feels certain that you are wildly into him, his own desire multiplies. He gives more, he connects deeper, he opens up in a way he normally wouldn't. Because he's no longer performing, he's present and connected to your passion. There's another layer here too, vulnerability. Most people guard their emotions even in the bedroom. They worry about appearing too eager, too desperate, too intense. But when you say something this bold, you're not afraid of looking vulnerable. And ironically, that makes you even more attractive. It shows confidence, sensual self-assurance, and authenticity. You're not saying it to get a reaction, you're saying it because it's true. You're overwhelmed by what you feel, and that realness is what turns a man on more than anything rehearsed or forced ever could. Now imagine the effect this has long term. If you're with someone you care about, or even exploring a new connection, a sentence like this becomes unforgettable. It's not something he hears often, maybe not ever. Most people are too guarded, too performative, or too reserved to say it. So when you say it, it gets etched in his mind. It becomes a moment he replays in the quietest hours, remembering how you looked, how you sounded, and how it made him feel. And that memory becomes a seed, one that grows into more desire, more appreciation, and deeper intimacy with every replay. And what's beautiful is that this sentence isn't tied to a specific act. You can say it at the start, in the middle, at the peak, or even after, while curled up next to him as your fingers brush along his arm. Every time it will land differently, but it will always land. Because it's not about what he's doing, it's about how deeply he affects you. When a man knows he has that kind of effect on you, he starts to see himself differently, more powerful, more capable, more deeply connected to you. And that changes the way he touches you, talks to you, sees you. It builds a cycle of passion, where your honesty feeds his confidence, and his confidence feeds your satisfaction. That's what deep, electric intimacy is built on. So don't underestimate this sentence, I want you so badly, I can't even think straight, may sound simple, but in the right moment, with the right energy behind it, it can unlock something fierce in the man you're with. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and soulfully. It's not just about desire, it's about the overwhelming, all-consuming nature of it. And when he feels that from you, everything changes. When it comes to intimacy, it's easy to focus on the physical, but the real magic happens when your words awaken something deeper in a man. Sentences like, I can't stop thinking about the way you touch me, no one has ever made me feel the way you do, and I want you so badly, I can't even think straight, aren't just about arousal. They're about impact. They tell him that he matters, that he's unforgettable, that his presence moves you in ways no one else ever has. And when a man feels that seen, that wanted, and that powerful in your eyes, he doesn't just respond with desire. He responds with depth, passion, and an intimacy that goes beyond the bedroom. Because it's not just about saying the right words, it's about feeling them, meaning them, and letting them bridge the gap between your body and his heart.